beautiful things.
The days of build it and they will come are over for websites. You need much more to stand out in the crowd. Digital Lagoon has been developing websites since 1995 and are experts in creating the perfect social media campaign, SEO, and other marketing programs to really bring in business. WHB chose Digital Lagoon to develop the website for our sister station, ESPN Kansas City, and couldn't be more pleased. You'll enjoy working with their programmers, graphic design, and marketing specialists located right here in Overland Park. Contact Jordan at digitallagoon.com.
Sports Radio 810 WHB has had a great time being the only station at this year's American Century Championships in beautiful Lake Tahoe. Yeah. We've been joined by Josh Allen, Travis Kelce, Steve Young, Jay Billis, Jerry Rice, RG3, Marcus Allen, Dwight Freeney, and many more. If you missed any, tune into our Best of Tahoe today at 3. And be sure to watch the celebs play their rounds on KSHB 41. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Do you follow Sports Radio 810 on social media? This is your reminder to give us a follow and hit that subscribe button on Facebook, Twitter,
Alrighty,
YouTube,
guys, we'll
and Instagram
right
at Sports Radio 810. Follow along for breaking news as it happens, live coverage of press conferences, analysis and reporting from top local and national experts, fan videos, and on-the-ground coverage of your favorite local teams, as well as the best sporting events and athletes in the country. Turn on your notifications so that you never miss a beat, and follow the leader at Sports Radio 810.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We are the Racing Boys. We're going to talk for a couple hours. We're going to talk motorsports here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Our #1 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. If you're interested in following us in hour #2, you can watch it exclusively on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, and racingboys.com. Kirk, how you doing, my friend? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. Watched some good races last night.
Yeah. What race impressed you the most? I think the
All-Stars.
The race that entertained me the most was definitely the All-Stars.
Yeah.
It looked like Hunter Schoenberg was on his way to victory, but he came down. You know, I kept thinking that he was running that car a little bit too hard because he had a big lead. And he was running that car a little harder than I would have liked. And coming down for the white flag, what happens to Hunter Schoenberg's right rear tire? It blows out.
Just as he was coming for the white.
As he's coming down for the white flag.
And he had it what?
He had it
covered.
won. He had it
It
covered.
was all his.
Yeah.
But no.
But, you know, did you watch the entire night, Kirk, of action up there?
I didn't see. I just saw the A-main.
Hunter Schoenberg, to me, was the fastest car all night. Would anybody else disagree with me on that? Anybody on the chat room that wants to get in there and talk about it? It appeared to me, I think he swept the night, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he did.
I'm looking at the heat races right here, and I see.
Did he win his heat?
That he did win his heat race. Yes, he did.
Did he win the dash?
The dash, yes, he did. He swept the night. He would have swept the night had he held on for another lap and a half.
Only one more lap.
Only one more lap. A little more than a lap.
So my point is that I thought Hunter Schoenberg was the fastest car all night. You know, you saw him in his heat race. You saw him run that dash. It just looked like his car had a little bit more speed than anybody else.
Tyler Courtney had the next fastest race car.
He did.
He was the one guy that would have had a shot at him, but he also had trouble last night, too. He got caught up in a situation there that not of his doing. But he finished second in his heat and second to Schoenberg in the dash. So if there was any other guy that would have had something for Hunter Schoenberg, it would have been Tyler Courtney, but both those guys had trouble.
But how about Chris Windom? At the end of that race, he inherits the lead because of Hunter Schoenberg's right rear flat. And, oh, by the way, he's got one of the fastest guys in the All-Stars right behind him, PPM, Parker Price Miller. And he just didn't do a good enough job on that restart. Parker Price Miller got by him on the start, and he went on to win the race, PPM.
And Cap Henry got around him, too, for second place. So
yeah,
those two guys were able to get around Windom. But that's his first podium finish in the All-Stars for Chris Windom. Of course, we've seen Big Daddy run a lot of non-wing stuff over the years, but he's getting heavy into the winged cars. So even though that was his best finish in the All-Stars, he was a little disappointed that when he had the lead, he wasn't able to hang on to it.
I don't know if you know this, Kirk, but it took 7 years from the time that Parker Price Miller won his first All-Star race until he won his second race. He won his second race a few weeks ago, and then he wins another race. So his third win in a couple weeks, but it took him 7 years between win number 1 and win number 2.
What an amazing story for Parker Price Miller.
Great story.
Gone through the cancer treatments and what he has done. And he was right in the middle of his cancer treatments last winter when he was down there in Florida racing. And we were all worried about that because, the port that they got to put in and,
Right.
all of the complications that could happen when you're going through cancer treatments. But, man, what has he done this year through all of that and to perform at the level that he has? That is a huge story.
Kirk, I hate to go in this direction, but I think they need to make a movie about Parker Price Miller.
That would be a terrific movie.
It would be a great movie.
Who would play Parker Price Miller?
I don't know who would play Parker Price Miller, but who would you have him play?
I don't know. I'd have
think
to think
about that
it.
for a second. But I think it would be a good story. A young driver that has a lot of talent, gets knocked down by cancer, has to do his treatments, races while he's going through his treatments. At one time, he was the only driver to finish in the top 10. I don't know how many races it was in a row, but he was the only guy to do it. And I think it'd be a great story about Parker Price Miller myself.
Absolutely.
Anybody else think that out there? I think it'd be a good story. We need more motorsport stories, don't we, in the movies, Kurt?
Movies that would inspire, and that certainly would fill the bill, no doubt about it.
Ford versus Ferrari was a good movie, wasn't it? Did you watch it?
I did see that.
That was a hell of a movie.
Might be the best racing movie I've ever seen.
I think it is.
Ford versus Ferrari. If you've not seen that,
that is a great movie.
Go watch that.
Yeah. So going into last night, I'm not sure how many points Tyler Courtney had in the leading going in, but after last night, Justin Peck, who, oh, by the way, Justin Peck had a terrible night, didn't he?
Gosh, boy, they just couldn't keep that car going.
They just couldn't keep it running. They said every time he'd get down about half throttle, the car wouldn't run. And we're not sure exactly what was going on there, but he did get lapped. I saw him get lapped one time. But he's lucky he's only 42 points out of the lead right now. So
well, they kept hammering away at it, so you got to applaud their effort last night, but they just couldn't get that sorted out. They kept bringing him in. They kept pushing him off, and he couldn't get up to full power. So not a good night for Justin Peck.
Let's talk next about what happened up at Huset's, Kirk. The USAC non-wing sprint cars were up there.
Yep, good show.
It was a good show. Yeah, but Robert put it on him pretty good up there, didn't he?
He had it moving. The Madman picks up the opening night victory of the three-night Huset's USAC Nationals. And after starting in 8th position last night, he made a valiant charge up through the field. Justin Grant was probably the only other big mover of the race. He started 9th and ends up 2nd, both passing pole setter Thomas Meserol, who had the early lead of that race. Brady Bacon starts 10th and ends up 4th. So a lot of movers and shakers in that sprint car feature at Huset's.
Local driver Xavier Doney gets upside down. Did you see that?
Ooh, he took a nasty flip.
I'm not going to say it, but they didn't say it on the air, but that car looked like it had some frame damage.
Yeah, there's
That didn't look like that was a soft wreck.
I question.
It looked like it tore that car up pretty good.
I'm not sure they're going to be able to race the rest of the week. Do they have another car up there? I don't know.
I don't know if they do or not. I don't.
But he's okay, I guess. But that was pretty hard lick. I don't know if he'd been at Houston Speedway before. Had Xavier Doney
I'm not
even
sure he
been
had.
to Houston Speedway? He got an education last night with that front wall going down into turn one. A lot of guys, even Kyle Larson,
Right.
has had a flip down in that part of the racetrack.
Well, didn't David Gravel get up on that wall a
Yes,
few
he
weeks
did.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a wicked place. And if you try to challenge that wall at Houston Speedway, you're going to find yourself on the short end.
Yeah.
But that's what's fun as a race fan. That's why we love Houston Speedway, because of what that can do to you if you
It's short
try
track
to take
racing.
it too far.
It's short track racing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we need here in Kansas City. We need a quarter-mile dirt track. I've been saying it all along. The first person that builds a quarter-mile dirt track down by the river, and they call it Riverside Stadium, Katie, bar the door.
What about that KC Raceway that sits down there?
I guess
Is there
it's
enough
for-
room there to
I hear
expand that?
I hear it's for sale.
That would be the place.
You
to
want
put
to
it.
go in on that with me?
No,
Kurt?
no, I'm not. I'm not getting into the racetrack.
Come on, you could be
Business.
the announcer,
No, I'll sit here and talk.
publicist.
I'll sit here and talk about it on Saturday morning for
All
a
right.
while longer, but
A little bit longer.
a little bit
A
longer.
little bit
but-
longer.
How about Buddy
Hold on,
Kofoid?
I just want to say that Justin Grant is leading the USAC non-wing sprint cars, the national tour. Right now, Brady Bacon is 46 points behind, and Robert Blue is 66 points out. But at the end of that race, I don't know if you noticed it, but it looked like T-Mez and Justin Grant were having words. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They looked like they were gumming each other a little bit after the race.
Yeah, I don't know what
Did
that was
anybody
all
else
about.
notice that?
They interviewed T-Mez after the race, and he acted like there was not a big deal, and he was happy with where he ended up. But
They downplayed it.
they downplayed it.
But I had a feeling that they were having words after the race.
Yeah. Did they count full championship points last night? I'm not sure they did.
I'm not sure if they did or not.
Maybe I'm thinking of another race. I don't know. I watched so many races last night. I heard somebody say that the preliminary nights were not champ. Oh, I think that was the late models up at Deer Creek where I heard that.
Yeah.
So those were points-paying races last night at Houston, so they'll do it again tonight. And Buddy Kofoid comes from 12th starting spot to win the midget feature last night, and he looked good doing it.
You know what? I must admit I didn't watch the
You'd
midget
already gone to
feature.
bed.
Yeah. Did they run the 305s then the midgets?
Yes.
Why would they do that?
Well, there were
Why
some
wouldn't they
guys
just run the midgets right after the non-wing
because
cars?
a lot of those guys were doing double duty, running both the sprints and the midgets, and they wanted to give them a little extra time before they crawled in the midgets.
All right.
That's why.
I wouldn't give them extra time. If you want to double dip, have your shit together. That's what I'd say. Oh, did I say that? Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. We're not on the internet right now.
apologize.
So excuse that language there. Sorry about that. Anyway, long story short is Brandon Anderson, he is now ahead of Tim McCready by 30 points in the point standings. You surprised?
That Brandon Shepard in the late models up at Deer Creek.
Brandon Shepard, I said.
Yeah.
B. Shep. Yeah.
Speaking of the dirt late
That's what
models,
I meant.
and we moved to that, Deer Creek Speedway has provided some great racing. They did on Thursday night, and last night track maybe not quite as good as it was the night before, but still pretty good. They do a great job of track prep at Deer Creek Speedway. And Jonathan Davenport starting on the pole position last night, there was just no one that's going to have anything for him, as he checked out and dominated night 2 at Deer Creek Speedway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
So last night they paid $5,000 to win. It was a 25-lap race. On Sunday, Kirk, is it Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday night, tonight.
Tonight, it pays
50,000.
50,000 wins, 75 lap race.
Right.
Right.
And Brandon Overton ends up in second place ahead of Tim McCready, Mike Marlar, and Kyle Strickler. Both McCready and Marlar spent in the top 5 for the second night in a row.
Right.
Both those guys ran well on Thursday night, and both were up towards the front. Last night, Brandon Shepard, we talked about earlier, got caught up in a bad deal when Kyle Bronson got sideways in turn number 1. Shepard had nowhere to go and heavy damage on the front end of that car, and he had to retire from the race. They couldn't fix it.
Anthony Macri picked up the win at Williams Grove last night. Was that a dominating performance?
Yeah. And, of course,
change crew chiefs, change teams, everything going on with him. There's a lot of things going on with Anthony Macri right now. But what did he do? He went out and he won that race last night.
And we don't know the whole story of what happened to the Shuttleworths at Sealands Grove Speedway when his crew chief walked off the job, and now he had Bernie Stugen step in and help out last night. And that combination worked out pretty well at Williams Grove Speedway.
Right. Well, I think he's going to be happy with his new ride. But there's a new driver now going to be driving for that team.
For which team are you talking about?
Devin Borden is going to be driving.
For the Shuttleworths.
The Shuttleworth team, right.
They have established their own team and brought Devin Borden over to drive that car.
Devin Borden ran with us with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. All I can tell you about Devin is he's elbows up, foot on the gas, drives real hard, a young kid, doesn't got a lot of experience, but he's been getting plenty out there in PA. And I think that Devin Borden, in a few years with a little maturity, I think he's going to be pretty damn good myself.
Yeah, he's good young talent.
Yeah.
As you pointed out. I mean, he won a couple of big races out there on the ASCS Tour. Was that at Grays Harbor, or where was that he won that first race out there? Well, you were out there for it.
Who, Macri?
No, Devin Borden.
Oh, Devin Borden.
Yeah.
Was
it Grays Harbor?
I think it was Grays
Harbor.
I think it was Grays Harbor.
I was trying to
I'd
remember.
have to go back and look at the results, but I think it was Grays Harbor. Yeah.
So, but he's an impressive young talent, and he's won at Williams Grove. I mean, he's and if you do well at Pennsylvania at those racetracks, and you're not even from there, that speaks highly of your talent.
Jason Martin picks up the win up at I-80, and our own Austin O'Neill raced up there last night. He started 14th, and how about this, Kirk? He ended up running 4th last night.
How about that?
He might have been the hard charger of the night.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I guess Don Stroud Jr. looked to have the fastest race car last night, but he had some kind of a ignition problem with that car dropped out of the race. Jack Dover, I don't think, finished either, but man, what a big mover in that 360 race. I don't think there was a bigger mover through that race than Austin had last night. There wasn't.
Couldn't have been too much further back. How many cars they have up there? Did you see?
18, I think I counted.
18 cars.
Yeah.
I think they had 19 up there the last time he was there. Yeah.
Now we get to see Austin. He's going to go to Knoxville tonight.
We're going to be able to watch him tonight.
Yes, sir.
I really want to go up there, Kurt.
Well, you can if you'd like.
You're not going up there.
You still can.
I just don't have a ride back.
I'm driving up to Iowa on Monday night. The reason I'm not going to Knoxville tonight is because I'm going to drive up to Stewart Raceway. They call it Stewart International Raceway. I call it the old Stewart Speedway.
Hold on, Kirk. Why do they put international in there?
Know. It's Stewart Speedway to me. That's one of my old racetracks.
It's like down at West Memphis. They call it international. I don't get it.
It's the ditch.
It's the ditch. It's
we
a
know
race
it as
in a
the
ditch. Right.
But Stewart Speedway on Monday and Tuesday night are hosting the XR Super Late Model Series. They're going to pay $20,000 to win each of those two nights.
Right.
And I'm going to go up there to a racetrack that I spent 7 years announcing at, back from 1977 through 83. And I haven't been there
since then. Hopefully they've done some capital
I think I
improvements
remember
up there.
how to get into there. I do remember how to get there, but I'm looking forward to getting up there and checking that out on Monday night. Tuesday night, too.
This is before it was international.
Right. Long before that. And then next Thursday night, we're looking forward to the Lucas Oil Late Model Series at I-70 Motorsports
I am looking forward to that. Yeah, that'll be a big race. Folks, if you're a late model fan, the biggest late model race of the year, they ran at Lakeside too, don't they, at some point?
I don't know. I don't think so.
They don't?
I don't think.
Well, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is the premier late model division in the country, and you need to get out there and see it. That's Thursday night, right?
Yeah, and then Friday night, they're going to be at Tri-City Speedway near St. Louis. Saturday night, a week from tonight, the Diamond Nationals at Lucas Oil Speedway. And then the week after that, what a big week that is, the Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, the final Silver Dollar Nationals that next week at I-80 Speedway. Looking forward to getting up there for that, too.
Yeah, the Hell Tour got rained out at Farmers City last night, Illinois.
2 nights in a row, the Hell Tour got rained out. They were supposed to be at Macon on Thursday night, so hopefully they'll get it in tonight.
And poor old John Bowler up there at US 36. How many races has he got in this year?
You know, I was looking back. They haven't raced in a month up there.
Really?
Because there was one week they called it off because of a shortage of help and some other issues, and they had rainouts the last 3 weeks, I think. And I don't think they had a race scheduled over the 4th of July. But it's been a while since they raced at US 36. But hopefully next Friday night, Lucas Oil ASCS at US 36 next Friday night. Let's hope
that all works out.
Mother Nature cooperates with that.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know if you watch the weather much, but the weather, that big storm that was rolling through, it was right up there on US 36. And it probably got the racetrack.
And it clipped 34 Raceway at West Burlington, Iowa last night, where the Outlaws were supposed to run. And heavy rains up there. I guess they called that off yesterday morning early.
Yeah.
Saturated the grounds up there, so no World of Outlaws last night. We'll see what happens up at Wilmot Speedway in Wisconsin tonight. That's where they're supposed to be tonight. And then next week, the Outlaws at Eldora Speedway. What a big week. Next week is going to be with the historical Big One and the Kings Royal. 2 big-time money races at Eldora Speedway next week.
Man, wouldn't it be fun to go out there?
Going to be an awesome show out there.
That'd be great.
Especially bringing back the historical Big One, a race they staged out there from 1983 through 2002, I believe it is. And that was before the week they staged that back then, the week before the Knoxville Nationals.
Right.
And they paid $100,000 to win 20 years ago.
Yeah.
To that race,
back
and
in
they
the
just
day.
continued it.
Yeah.
Now they're bringing it back.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a lot going on here today, folks. We're going to play a couple interviews before the end of the show. One of them is from Shane Carson, a Hall of Famer that is in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. We talk a little bit about his lifetime and some of his accomplishments. Also, we're going to play another segment with Steve Post that we do every Wednesday, and it's all brought to you by Sage Fruit. We visit with Steve Post on Mostly Motorsports every Wednesday at 12:20. So if you're a big Steve Post fan, you can do that. And then in hour number 2, Zach Blurton and Lee Spencer. We're going to play some sound from those guys as well. Zach Blurton picked up his first Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour win. First sprint car win in a 360. He'd won 305 races at Waukene many times, but this was his first time to win with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour, and his first time in a 360.
And he did it in front of the hometown crowd.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was really good. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to listen to a clip that we did with Shane Carson. He's a Hall of Famer up at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. We'll be back with more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works.
Track Talk.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Hen House, our family serving yours since 1923. Go to henhouse.com to score your savings every week. Check out this week's latest ad and start saving. What's for dinner? Hen House is answering the age-old daily question for you. Delicious family-style meats bringing you back to the dinner table, featuring different family meal specials every day. Stop in at your local Hen House today or go online at henhouse.com. Hen House, your neighborhood market.
Summer is here, Casey, and Schlotsky's has you covered for all things family food related. They've got their chilled and oven-baked sandwich box lunches, complete with chips and a cookie for any outdoor activities. If you want things a little lighter, they've got their tasty and freshly made salad box lunches, also complete with your choice of chips and a cookie. If you can't pick it up in their drive-thru or inside one of their 5 area locations, place your order online at Schlotsky's.com and have them deliver it. Schlotsky's. It's a mouthful.
The Menards NHRA Nationals presented by Pet Armor is heading back to Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka August 12th through 14th. It's the year of the racer featuring new teams and new alliances. 8 new teams join the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series and the competition is intense. Don't miss the Topeka debut of Tony Stewart Racing with Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan. The return of Tony Schumacher and new team owners Adrian Braun and Ron Katz. Every ticket is a pit pass and kids 12 and under are free. Get tickets early and save at NHRA.com.
Hey Royals fans, this is Dayton Moore. The Royals trust the University of Kansas Health System because they're committed to providing the best care in the game for everyone. Whether you're a top athlete, still learning, or happy to remain a fan, you can see the same experts that care for the Royals. We're proud that the University of Kansas Health System is the official healthcare provider of the Royals. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/Royals.
What if your health insurance is keeping you from your doctor? Have you ever thought that insurance might be the reason? Pro Partners is a different kind of family medical practice that guarantees direct access to your personal physician literally any time. You can have same-day appointments, call or text your doctor's personal cell phone at any time. If you'd like to join thousands of families and businesses in Kansas City who have easy access to their doctor anytime, call 913-451-4776 or check us out on the web at propartnershealthcare.com.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I want to thank everybody that's listening all around the Midwest on this powerful radio station. Kirk and I are proud to say that we've been here for 22 years together. I've been over there for about 24 years. It's been a good run, hasn't it, bud?
It has, and
your run's just about up, though, isn't it?
How great is it to have the lovely Deidre with us here this morning?
She's working. She's doing a good job back there.
Yeah. Austin is off racing, and Todd is off watching his son Zach play baseball.
Right.
Here this weekend. So
Deidre, she knows how to run that equipment.
Holding down the fort.
She can do it. Believe me. Kirk had a chance to talk to Shane Carson, one of the all-time great sprint car drivers. He's in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
I've known Shane Carson since the mid-'70s when I was working up at Knoxville. Shane was the most popular driver up there. What a great guy. I mean, he is he makes it a point to get to know everybody. That's how great a guy Shane Carson is and how much he has done for racing. Scott spoke with Shane Carson a little bit earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports, and here's just a portion of that conversation.
Out of all the people that you raced against, or maybe prior to you racing, who was your biggest hero?
Well, I had one in Oklahoma City. His name was Everett Humphrey, and he ran number 12. And that's why I always ran number 12. But, growing up selling programs, I'd wait for those guys to come in the pit gate, in the middle of the afternoon on Friday, and I'd have the programs there. He'd always come and buy a program from me and talk to me, and we were really close. And So I'd say it'd been Everett Humphrey. But going down the list, I mean, Everett Humphrey, Harold Leap, Emmett Hahn, those guys were just bigger than life, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And being able to be around them throughout my career was really excellent. And then when I started racing, most of them had retired, but I was able to get input from those guys, and because they had been watching my career along the way, so it was really neat to have that, that influence.
Who, Shane, in your racing career, who was the guy that you wanted to outrun the most? If there was one person that you wanted to really beat more than anybody out there, who would it be?
No question, it'd been Doug Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Doug was, of course, he was the driver of the Trosso cars before I came along, so I followed him into the seat, and then I was constantly trying to be as good as or be able to be competitive with, and of course, Trosso would say, well, Doug did this. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not Doug, but I'm going to do my best to beat him. And we did some. I wouldn't say we beat him all the time.
Right.
But I definitely beat him some. And that was a major accomplishment for me. And it kind of gave me a little bit of something to talk about.
Yeah. Did you have a preference on driving a wing car or a non-wing car? What was your preference?
Well, I won my first championship with Trossel non-wing. That's how we did it. We weren't expert wing racers at all. We went to Eldora the first time with that Trossel car, and I was showing Bob pictures of it. I said, Bob, that thing's dragging the ground. The wing was just planting it so heavy.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that's the way we ran it. We run it that way all the time. So, we had to kind of get better at the wing stuff. We had to work at that, but I think we had a non-wing program pretty well dialed in. I actually liked it better without, but then as racing went on and technology kept up, and I got to feel better about running wings, more so. I think there's a little bit of a chance when you do crash, you land on that thing maybe the first time, and it helps you out because that's kind of documented. But
yeah, right.
But I do like non-wing stuff still. I like to watch them. I like to be around them.
What'd you think about when Knoxville went from non-wing to wing? Were you in favor of that at the time?
Well, it was in 80 at the end of 81. They went to all wings in 82, and I wasn't running there all the time, but I was running World Outlaw season the full time for 82, 83. And I know that was a big move for them, and I felt like it was on the safety side. I know that's why they did it, because we had a couple of fatalities right there. You know who they were.
Yeah, right.
And that was a rough on all of us. And they felt like they was making a move that would benefit and be on the safe side. So I think it was probably a good idea.
Yeah. Man, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. We sure appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We'd love to have you on in the future. I hope that's a possibility. We'd love to talk to you about racing. So congratulations on everything in life, man. Things have been really good for you, haven't they?
They have. I've been really lucky. I got through my career without being hurt too bad, and that's always a plus.
Where was your biggest?
I can remember most everything that happened.
Where was your biggest injury that you ever had?
At Belleville, Kansas, I got in a really bad one. I was in Trossel's car, and the right front wheel, the hub broke off going into the corner. This is non-wing stuff.
Holy cow!
So stuck in the ground, went straight up and flat right on the cage, and folded it down. Luckily for me, I was way down in the car. I'm pretty short,
right? So
that helped me. And but it turned my helmet around. Everybody thought it broke my neck. I did have some compression fractures from that, and I missed a week, and we came back the next week and won the next two races.
You only took a week off.
Yeah.
That's old school mentality right there.
Yeah. And that concussion at the Belleville was 3 days after the other concussion I had at Devil's Bowl. I was driving the 4X car for Speedy Bill. John Singer was there with me.
Yeah.
And I crashed, and he immediately took that car home, and I was out of that car.
Yeah. All right, there you have it. That was Shane Carson, one of the all-time great guys, man. We did. How long was that interview, Kirk? About 30 minutes?
Yeah, if you want to listen to that complete interview, just
Right.
click on racingboys.com, the top banner where you see mostly motorsports, and you'll see all the episodes right there, and you
How
can
many
listen to the
episodes-
entire shows.
How many have we done so far now, Kirk? Do you know?
What was I thinking about?
120?
200?
No, 120 something, I think.
127 was yesterday.
We're episode 127.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you started this during the Chili Bowl back in January.
It's all,
So you've been at this 6 months right now.
we've been cranking them out, haven't we, bud?
Right at 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
127 episodes. I think we're going to be on the air a total of 312 times this year. That's something. You believe that, Kurt?
There's 365 days out of the year, so
312 days we're going to be on the air.
are you going to take any time off before then?
I don't think I
No
will.
vacation for you?
I'm not sure I'm going to take a vacation. I might want to take a vacation before you leave. Dee, where are we going? We got a float trip to go on, don't we? When is that, Deidre? Can you open up your mic?
Doesn't include any racing on your
When
float trip.
When was that? Can't hear you.
Number 3, Deidre.
Number
Mike
3.
3.
Mike 3.
August 5th through the 7th.
Oh, okay. Turn that up a little bit. Your soft voice. Say it one more time.
August 5th through August 7th.
August 5th through August 7th, right before the Nationals.
And we might mention, while Deidre is on there, she did a great job of helping us produce all these broadcasts last year out on the road.
She did a fantastic job. She did all of the graphics, the lineups, the commercials, the replays, the lower thirds. She did a fantastic job with that.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Do you miss being out on the road there, Deidre?
I do
Turn your
miss-
mic up just a little bit, Dee.
Oh, my goodness. I do miss being out on the road some.
Up more.
Definitely not. I don't miss not knowing where I'm at every day.
Right, because you kind of lose track where you're at sometimes, don't you, when you're living out on the road?
Yes, and I definitely miss the road family that we had, and all our friends and adventures and stuff that we did.
You made a lot of friends out there.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to talk Deidre to getting back into the T-shirt business. She hasn't given me her approval.
She was
yet.
good at that, too.
She was excellent at
She did
selling
a bang-up
T-shirts.
job selling merchandise out there.
Yeah.
But you guys were working hard. Not only do you have to do the broadcast, but you're selling merchandise out there. How hard was that?
How hard was that, Deidre?
Actually, it wasn't horrible, but it
Turn
was
your
more.
mic up a little.
Oh my goodness. It wasn't horrible, but it was more of just moving the boxes around every day or every race, and
Yeah.
it was fun.
But
for
keeping
sure.
up with the orders, that was a challenge.
But it was wearing out the
Yeah.
old man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to have shoulder surgery from all that.
I was out there with a bad wing for a while, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you guys kind of miss being out there, do you not?
I think I do. I miss being out there. Here's what I don't miss, Kurt. I don't miss going in and setting up for those broadcasts. And all the responsibility of making sure the stream works, making sure the wireless works, make sure all the mics work, make sure everything works. And then what I really don't miss is at the end of the night, having to tear down everything. And then after you get it all tore down, you got to jump in your truck or your motorhome, whatever you're traveling in, and you got to truck down the road 200, 300 miles to get to the next town, and then get up on Saturday morning to do the show after you didn't get to bed till about 3 or 4 in the morning.
You know,
I don't miss any of that.
If we were all in our 20s and 30s, that'd be kind of fun. But unfortunately, we're all older.
We're twice that old.
Well, and now he's getting home-cooked meals all the time.
Yeah.
And we have a structured life, well, a somewhat structured life.
Yeah. Our life's pretty structured, I think. Yeah.
But being at the racetrack, watching the races, and being around friends, that was the great part about it.
That's what it's all about.
It's the travel and all the other stuff that people don't see that you don't miss.
Yes. Yes, that was definitely the worst. Like, just setting up and tearing down, that took longer than anything.
Yeah. Kirk, is there going to be a late model show down at Moberly on the 17th? A Diamond Nationals? Have you heard about that?
I have heard about that, and we need to get in touch with Reed Millard down there. You haven't had him on yet, have you?
No.
The new owner of
Moberly. Yeah.
And they've got an event set up for Sunday night, July the 17th. We'll get more details on that.
Maybe Lloyd could get us a number on that. Yeah.
So, but Reed Millard, we need to hook up with him and get him on the show. He'd be a great guest too, by the way.
David Neal said didn't catch where Austin finished. Austin started 14th last night up at I-80, and he ran 4th. That's the second time he's ran 4th up there at that racetrack.
He's had 2 great nights of racing in a row so far. Out at I-70, he had a great night out there, and a good run last night. He's on a roll.
He finished 7th with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour out at I-70. That was a good run.
I'm very anxious to see how he does at Knoxville tonight.
I am excited about tonight. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to play a little bit more of an interview that I did with Steve Post, the Postman. You know who Steve Post is. He's the lead pit reporter for MRN at all the NASCAR Cup races. And he's the host of Winged Nation, which is a great sprint car show that airs on Tuesday. And you can watch it on MRN. You can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it on MAV TV. It's a great show, and they talk about sprint car racing just about as much as we do, or maybe even more. So we're going to do that and more when we come back. Today's show, Track Talk, is all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Now's your chance for a refresh with savings up to $500 off select computers, like the XPS and select Alienware systems, taking performance to the next level with Intel Core processors. Plus, shop special deals on top accessories. Great financing available with a Dell Preferred account and free shipping. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Sporting Kansas City head north of the border to take on CF Montreal on Saturday at 6:30. And you can hear all of the action live right here on your home for Sporting Kansas City Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Sporting Kansas City at CF Montreal, Saturday at 6:30 on your home for Sporting Kansas City Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. I played linebacker. I won a state
Let's,
championship.
we gotta
I played
be out of
Division
here
One ball.
by
I
about
know a thing or two about winning.
56, fellas.
A winning attitude starts with confidence. My law firm is so confident in what we do that if we take your injury case and we don't win, you don't pay us a dime. So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Welcome back. You're listening to Track Talk here on a Saturday morning. I'm Kirk Elliott along with Scott Traylor. Make sure you stay tuned exclusively on RacingBoys.com for Hour 2 coming up, as we always do, and mostly motorsports. Airs every weekday on RacingBoys.com at 12 noon. We podcast the show. Scott Traylor is the host. And earlier this week, as he does every week, he spoke with Steve Post, who is one of the big pit reporters for the Motor Racing Network. And he also covers sprint car racing with his Wing Nation show.
Yeah.
But you also hear him on Pit Road of all the NASCAR events. And they talked sprint car racing earlier this week. And here's part of that weekly conversation with Steve Post on Mostly Motorsports.
How about Noah Gragson, man? He took out 13 cars the other day. What did you think of that incident with him?
Well, I'm always one. I'm always one because the next time I strap into a race car will be the first time I strap into a race car. So I'm never one to really kind of. I always kind of tamper what I say as far as drivers because I've never been in that spot.
Right.
But and it's why I'm glad we're talking about this Wednesday and not Saturday. But Wednesday we're listening to other drivers. We're listening to his team owner, for Pete's sake. He went over the edge on this one.
Yeah.
And so consequently, it's going to be interesting to see. I find NASCAR really, really, really works hard at not over officiating it as far as driving goes. There's speculation that there might still be something coming down the pike. We'll have to see. He certainly didn't endear himself to his team owner. You know, Dale Jr.'s comments on Sirius this morning where I'll stand behind him on a lot of things, but I cannot stand behind you on this.
Right.
This move. And I think that this started right after the accident. Okay. One of the absolute, and it gets into collateral damage. And I heard you guys talking about this beforehand. One of the absolute most upstanding guys in the Xfinity Series garage is Tommy Joe Martins, who is he drives occasionally, and he is the team owner of the car that Sage Karam was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Joe Martins just he went on social media, and I'm generally not a fan of that, but I think it set the tone. It was like, Dale, Kelly, are you supporting this? You know, there's a lot of us teams with a lot of wounded race cars headed back to North Carolina. And I think really where that got serious is if you and I get out there racing on the track and we want to have a mix-up and, shoot, if we want to wreck each other, if we want to get out and punch each other in the nose, that's fine.
Right.
But it's when it catches other people and the nature of Road America, the narrowness of it, where he did that in one of the most narrow, high-speed areas where there are no spotters, I think there comes a point where you might be pissed off, but you do have to think. And I think this is where Noah went over the edge on this one. And he's got some work to do. We don't know if there's any penalties coming from NASCAR or not, but he's got some work to do in the garage area with his fellow competitors. He's got some work to do with his owner, you know, to kind of soothe things over there and not put Dale Jr. in a bad spot. And so to answer your question, after reviewing all of this and listening to people who have been in the driver's seats, he went over the edge on this one, and whether it's the dust up itself or the location, but I think the collateral damage with all the wadded up race cars, I think that I think it's all right to retaliate, but you got to make sure you don't bring a whole bunch of other people into it, and he did.
Weren't you a little surprised by the honesty of Dale Jr. this morning on Sirius Satellite Radio?
No, I'll tell you one thing I learned, one of the people when I look at the history of our sport, okay, and all of the things that happened, one of the people that I felt sorry for at a time in his life was Dale Earnhardt Jr. when the DEI thing was going wheels up or toes up.
Yep.
Because you knew that him and his stepmother did not get along.
Right.
Teresa did not get along. There was all kinds of problems. And here's why I felt bad for Dale Jr. The boy can't lie. I mean, he's not a good liar.
Right.
I mean, he just is pretty honest about everything. And so when you would ask about the team situation, he was awkward. He was uncomfortable. He said the things he needed to say, and you knew 100% it was just words coming out of his mouth. And so I look at that era of his life. He can't lie. You know, Rick Hendrick came in, saved the day, gave him a ride, gave him something he could go forward on, win races, boom, boom, boom. It all turned out well for him. But I think when I look at this morning, the boy just can't lie. And so I'm not really surprised, as candid as he was. I'm serious. I think that he's pretty stand up. I don't think he's a good liar. I think he's a guy that will, in most instances, like this morning, tell you where he's at with it. And I think that's the candor that we got. And I think that's part of what's endearing to Dale Earnhardt Jr. as well. I mean, there are part of his fans base that was his daddy's fans. There's not as many of those now because he doesn't wreck a lot of people or didn't wreck a lot of people racing.
Right.
Junior's created and carved out his own fans, and it's just a lot of it is his authenticity that comes through in moments like this and right. many other over the course of his life, for sure.
I think that the part that disturbs me the most about it, and it happened to me at Memphis Motorsports Park one time in a super truck race down there. When you get hooked going down the straightaway, when somebody gets you in the right rear and spins you around and you pound the wall. Me personally, I pounded the wall with the driver's side of my truck, probably running about 130 miles an hour. And that really hurt at my age because I was 49 at the time. I think most people are upset with the hook because in a racer's world, we all know that is a no-no when you hook somebody going down the straightaway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You give them a shot in the ass going down in the corner, or maybe even door slam them as you work through a corner or slide up the racetrack. 8 tires are better than 4. But the hooking someone on a straightaway has never been an acceptable move, and it wasn't an acceptable move on Saturday. It just puts the driver, and I understand you're pissed off at the guy and you don't really care about it, but it puts him in a bad spot. And then when you look at a straightaway where everyone is bearing down, it puts a lot of other people in a bad spot as well. And,
right.
and I think that's I think that's a lot of the area that Noah Gragson has stepped over the line on this one with.
All right. That was Steve Post, and you can hear him weekly on Mostly Motorsports every Wednesday about 12:20. Steve Post comes on the show and hangs out with us.
He brings up a good comment about Dale Jr., and this is sort of the problem I had with analysts also being car owners, but I don't have a problem with Dale Jr. in this case because you don't see many car owners come out and not back their drivers 100%.
Right.
And I get the feeling that Dale Jr. was also acting as a race analyst on NBC, and this is where your credibility really steps in when you're a race analyst, but also a car owner, and this is your driver. For Dale Jr. to step out and be this honest and forthright about his own driver, I just got the feeling that he was thinking more as an NBC analyst and giving his opinion there than as a car owner. I appreciate that. I still don't like race analysts also being car owners, but still, in this case, Dale Jr. Went out on the line and was more an NBC race analyst than he was a car owner. I appreciate that as a fan.
Kirk, to me, it seems like I don't think NASCAR was going to give them a fine until
I don't either.
Until Dale Jr. said he deserves everything that he gets for doing what he did.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think NASCAR would have stepped in and fined him.
I don't think they would have, but I think with the blessing of Dale Jr. and Kelly Earnhardt, to be honest with you, I think that they decided, all right, let's go ahead and do it. And I've been told that Junior Motorsports is not going to be paying that bill. He's going to have to pay for it out of his own pocket.
Oh, my God.
Right.
That's a lot of money to a race. I don't care who. If you're Noah Gragson, you're not one of the top-line Cup drivers here.
First of all, Kurt,
$35,000, that's a lot of money.
First of all, these drivers don't get paid what they used to get paid back in the day. Back in the day, NASCAR drivers in the early 2000s, in the 90s, they were getting 8, 9, 10. Some drivers like Dale Jr., $30 million a year to drive a car, right? Today's world, Cup drivers get about $500,000 to drive, which is still a lot of money to drive a race car for a living, right? That's great. But it's not like they can just reach in there and pull out $35,000, $30,000.
I'm going to be interested to see how Noah Gragson handles this and moves forward. And
I hope he doesn't change. I hope that he still.
Yeah.
I hope he still has a little roughneck in him. To be honest with you, I like it.
And that wasn't the first time that he had a run-in. We remember there was an incident out here at Kansas Speedway a couple of years ago that caused a big wreck. And, this is not the first go-around with Noah Gragson doing this step, but I love his personality. Who doesn't love his personality?
Right. I had a note in here of some of the other people that he got into it with. I'm not going to be able to find it, though.
I don't remember it all, but he's an interesting guy, Noah Gragson.
We got a lot of interesting guys coming up through the ranks. You know who I'm really intrigued by? Ty Gibbs.
Yeah. And how about Ty Gibbs outrunning Kyle Larson in that Xfinity race at Road America last week? He just flat out ran him. Kyle Larson.
Ty Gibbs might be the next big thing in motorsports at the Cup level.
He's showing it right now.
Man, he's got the talent.
It's easy to say, well, he's Ty Gibbs. He's a grandson. He's going to get the best of everything. And, if he wasn't
But you
Ty
still got to
Gibbs,
take advantage of the best.
He has taken advantage of the best. And he's proven that he's got the talent to do this.
Right.
Now, I think it's going to be not next year, but the year after before he gets up into the Cup Series, because they brought Martin Truex Jr. back for another year. And I think that Truex goes for another year, and then that car is going to have Ty Gibbs in the seat in 2024. That's the way I think this is going. I don't think they are ready to put Ty in a car next year, but the year after that, I say Ty Gibbs is in the Cup Series.
I'm not so sure about that, Kurt. I don't know which car they'll put him in.
2 minutes, boys.
But I got a feeling that he'll run a limited schedule next year. They'll probably get into affiliation with some other team and probably allow him to drive 8 or 9 races, 10 races maybe next year. I think he'll be at the Cup level next year, but not as a full-time driver.
Talent-wise, he's ready to go now, but I think, at his age, they just want him to mature a little bit more, because once you make that step and you don't succeed right away, it can damage your confidence in a big way. Now, Joey Logano got through that, but it took him a while.
Yeah.
And even though you may have the talent, jumping up into that Cup Series is a big step.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we got hour number 2 coming up. Hour number 2 is a little bit different than hour number 1, isn't it, Kirk?
Yes.
We kind of freewheel a little bit more.
We have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Have zero ideas. We just talk. That's what we do. Hour number 2. And the fans interact with us. We want to thank all of our great fans that listen to us out on the East Coast. We've got a ton of people that listen in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York. California is our number 1 state of listeners that we have right now. So we want to thank all those people for being a part of mostly motorsports each and every day, as well as Track Talk here on Saturday morning. 6 days a week we're on there, Kirk. How about that?
It is. Don't you think we ought to call Austin O'Neill sometime before
maybe in hour number 2 we'll call Austin and see how he's doing.
He's got to give us a report on what went on last night, does he not?
I think he does. I think he deserves to do that, right? All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to
30 seconds
to Track Talk. Don't forget, hour number 2, you can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube, or racingboys.com. It's going to be Kirk and myself with Deidre. She's doing a great job running the show herself. We'll do it all over again, hour number 2, right around the corner. We hope that you'll join us. For Deidre, for Kirk, I'm Scott. See you right around the corner, hour number 2. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works.
A new Buick or GMC has a 90-day money-back guarantee at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. Shop their selection with a special allocation of the redesigned 2022 GMC Sierra 1500. All power, all luxury, and the coolest tailgate on the planet. And with the 90-day money-back guarantee, it's a Brogdon Best Buy. Visit Robert...
and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
Go harder, faster.
faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
So here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Cigarport.ca is your go-to online store for exclusive cigars produced from the best quality tobacco in the world. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and if you're not listening to the Racing Boys, then you've got some. You gotta listen to the Racing Boys. Get it up!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk. Track Talk. I almost said mostly motorsports, Kirk.
Old habits die hard. You do that 5 days a week now. Now
Right.
1 day a week for Track Talk.
Right. Track Talk will probably end up becoming the best of mostly motorsports someday down the road.
Because you don't want to work 6 days a week?
No,
or what?
because you're retiring. And I won't be able to sit here and talk to you.
Well, I'm going to be here. We're going to be doing the same thing at least for 2 more months.
2 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
Through Cup weekend in September at Kansas Speedway. Then after that, I'm going to watch Cyclone football games on Saturday.
Well, good for you. Clinton Boyle said last night, yep, that one hurts, but that's big-time auto racing. You know who he crew chiefs for?
Hunter Schoenberg. What am I saying?
Hunter
Schoenberg. 100%.
100%.
Did you see Clint changing that tire?
I did.
That?
I did see that last night.
He was just going about his business. He wasn't mad or anything else.
No.
He popped that nut off there and
Threw
took
that
the wheel
wheel
off,
back
put the other
on.
one back on,
Yeah.
and Clint just was doing his business there.
Just got right in there.
But he had to be disappointed, along with the man behind the wheel of that race car last night too. So, but they're doing a great job.
Hold on. Disappointed with the man behind the wheel of the race car?
No, disappointed with what happened.
Oh. I was going to say, because I don't think...
Nobody's fault. Wasn't their fault.
Well,
just happened.
hold on now.
You said he might have been
Hold on
running
a
too
second.
hard.
I think he ran a little too hard. I think he was pushing it a little bit too hard. He should have started... You know, I don't know how they do it, but I know that sprint car drivers sometimes they can sense that the tire is starting to go away, and that the tire there's a smell or just something, a vibration in the tire when they feel like the tire is starting to go away, and it's you got to leave it up to the driver to figure out, have I used up my tire too much? And I think Hunter just pushed it a little bit too hard last night. Is anybody else like me? Does anybody else think that Hunter Schoenberg pushed his car too hard last night?
Well, it was a devastating blow to have that happen.
Oh, no doubt.
Coming down for the white flag.
Oh, that was terrible.
That was $12,000 to win last night. $12,000.
Yeah. Hey, Tammy just brought this up, and I had this in my notes, Tammy, just so you know. Robert Ballou last night in his post-race interview, did you hear what he said? There better be some more fans in the grandstands tomorrow night, or they're not going to have this next year. Did you hear that, Kurt?
I missed that part.
You missed it?
I missed him saying that. I thought I heard it all last night, but I didn't. I missed him saying that.
He said that if there isn't going to, they're not going to have this event next year if they don't put some fans in the grandstands.
Well, let's see how big of a crowd they get tonight and tomorrow night. That was a Friday night, so let's see what happens tonight and tomorrow night.
Kirk, I've never promoted a 2-day show, let alone a 3-day show. I think to be honest with you, promoters that promote 2 or 3 day shows are the people that can afford to lose a little bit of money.
Do you think Todd Quering fits that?
Todd Quering and others, yeah, I think there's some others out there that could do that.
Now, they're normally a Sunday night racetrack, so I
Right.
expect a huge crowd on Sunday night.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
And I expect a bigger crowd tonight than they had last night.
Yeah.
So we'll see it's entertaining racing. You can't dispute that. I mean, these non-wing sprint cars are fun as hell.
Wouldn't you think they'd have a big crowd up there, though?
Yeah, but that's a big grandstand, too, at Houston Speedway. So we'll see what happens the rest of the weekend up there. And this is an event that they had later in the year last year. So this is a new date, and they just had the World of Outlaws up there a couple weeks ago. And so these are two big special events within a 3-week period of time. And so that may enter into
I
it
don't
as
think
well.
that stops real sprint car fans from going.
I don't either, but that's a big grandstand up at Houston Speedway. So we'll see what happens tonight and the rest of the weekend. But Robert Ballou is not afraid to speak his opinion.
No.
And whatever crosses his mind, he's going to let you know about it. That's
Well,
good. I like that.
He had a little smirk on his face after he said that. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Marie, hey Marie, how you doing? Glad to see you here this morning. She said, no, that track is not a sprint car track.
Which track she talking about?
I don't know.
Ransomville or what?
Are you talking about Huset's?
Huset's is a sprint car track.
That's maybe one of the biggest sprint car tracks in the country.
That's what they do at Houston Speedway.
I mean, it's not Seelings Grove, it's not Williams Grove, Baps, or anything like that. But it is in this area of the Midwest known as a sprint car track. It's rich in history. When did that track open, Kirk? Do you know?
Oh, back in the 50s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Wonder if I asked my phone if it would tell me.
But it is definitely a sprint car
What year
racetrack.
did Huset's Raceway open in South Dakota?
So we're going to find out. You're gonna ask.
1954.
54. I was thinking it was back in the 50s.
1954.
That's the same year they started racing weekly at Knoxville. 1954.
That's the same year?
Yeah.
Really?
So Houston's been around a long time and long known as a sprint car track.
Yeah.
So, hey, I was talking more about this Anthony Macri situation.
Oh, she's talking about the All-Star race, Kurt.
Ransomville, New York.
Yeah.
So, now, that's probably not a sprint car race.
Was that thing blowing some dust?
A little bit. The dirt is kind of different out there in New York State, isn't it?
I don't know if
got
it
a lot
is.
of dust in it.
I don't know if it's just lack of preparation.
It's just different out there.
I don't know.
They're going to be at another New York State racetrack tonight, State Line Speedway.
But that was definitely a huge deflate.
Oh, my God.
I hate to say that, for Hunter Schoenberg.
Yeah, my reaction, you had probably the same. I'm watching that last night. I'm going, no,
man.
That's what I thought. I'm going out. I'm watching it by myself. Going, oh, no.
Yeah, that was too bad. But, you know, when the track's like that, a driver has to pace himself a little bit more. How big a lead did he have at that point? Hunter had a pretty sizable lead at that point, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was way out
like
in front.
4 or 5 seconds, wasn't he?
I don't know about that, but he had a pretty sizable lead in that. The only other guy I thought would have given him a good run in that race, had he not been caught up in his own situation, is Tyler Courtney. He had a very strong race car, and those guys were going at it right at the start of the race. And had Tyler not got caught up in his own mess, I think those two guys would have really had a good battle at it.
Kirk, do you remember, Lloyd wrote this, he said, what driver was it that mentioned all the big money races in late model versus sprint cars in his heat race win interview? He sounded disappointed that there isn't bigger money for sprints. We've been talking about that a lot lately.
Yeah, why isn't the late models get all of the big money races and you don't see this many big money shows in sprint car racing? You see some, but not near as many as what the late models put out. Why is that? because the cost of going sprint car racing is every bit as much, if not more, than the top-level late model teams, is it not?
Well, I think so. I got a little.
But yet, you see $50,000 races on a regular occurrence in late model racing now. And some paying a lot higher than that. So, and then we're seeing a $50,000 to win race tonight at Deer Creek Speedway. The Silver Dollar National, first of all, the Diamond Nationals next week at Lucas Oil Speedway pays pretty good money. But then you got another $50,000+ to win race at Silver Dollar Nationals coming up here in 2 weeks. And then the North-South 100, I think, pays $100,000. And, I mean, the World 100, you got a ton of races in dirt late model racing that pays a lot of money, and you just don't see it in sprint car racing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a sheet down there, and I can't find it right now. How much money did you think that Kyle Larson made driving sprint cars last year?
Gosh, I don't know.
410 wing sprint cars. How much you think he made?
Oh, boy. I would say
he's the number one money earner out of all the sprint car drivers.
Well, he won both the Knoxville Nationals and the Kings Royal, so I would say $500,000 at least.
You're pretty close. $488,400. Who was the next winningest driver, money-wise?
Brad Sweet?
Yes. How much?
Because he won the championship.
How much you think he won?
I would say half that, $200,000.
He won $426,000.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. How much did that pay to win the World Outlaw title? I don't know that.
I don't know. Carson Macedo made more than Brad Sweet last year. How much more?
So Brad Sweet was not number 2 in line.
No, they just have him lined up here. They don't have him in money order.
Carson Macedo won more money last year than Brad Sweet?
He did.
I would say 500-some thousand.
$440,650.
Well, you said $488 for Brad Sweet, didn't you?
$488,400 for Kyle Larson. $426,200
for Brad Sweet.
For Brad Sweet.
Oh, I got
$440,650 for Carson Macedo.
Kyle Larson was the one that won $400.
Tyler Courtney won $358,429.
And he was the All-Star champion.
He was the All-Star champion last year.
But
Donnie Schatz picked up $380,000 and $875.
But have we done a list of the late model drivers in comparison of how much money they won?
No, I don't have that.
That's what needs to happen. Jonathan Davenport, now he's a millionaire. Look at his money total at the end of the year. What's that going to be?
Oh, I might have some late model numbers here. Hang on.
That's going to be $1.5 million. I would say when Jonathan Davenport gets done with 2022, his total winnings will be upwards of $2 million.
So how much did Brandon Shepard win last year, you think, Kurt?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
$255,000.
Okay.
Next biggest winner was Chris Madden. He won $235,000.
He's already won that this year.
Yeah.
That was in 2021 you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, 2022, look at how many $50,000 races that Chris Madden has won so far this year. So.
Well, look at Jonathan Davenport.
Well, in 2022, his winnings are going to be closer to $2 million.
Oh, I don't know.
He's already got that $1 million.
I doubt he wins close to $2 million. Probably $1.5 million. I'm trying to find out how much he made last year.
There's still a lot of big money races yet to be had in 2022, and Jonathan Davenport is still going to have his share of them before it's all over. He's already got over $1 million in the bank already in 2022.
Jonathan Davenport won $91,900 last year.
He's going to blow that all to heck in 2022.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his total winnings are going to be at the end of the year. Here we are just halfway into July. and still a ton of big money races yet to be had. And Jonathan Davenport is sitting at well over $1 million.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Greg, he said way more competition racing in late models. You could win the feature one night and miss the show the next. That's true. We've seen that happen many a times.
But when you put out that kind of money, you're going to draw a lot of competitive interest.
Yeah. Hey, D, do you know how to put the phone number up over there? If you want to put that up there for us, if somebody would like to call in on the show, we'll take some phone calls if you'd like.
We're going to hear from Zach Blurton, who was
you
on
want to
Mostly
do that
Motorsports yesterday. And also, we recorded Lee Spencer. You had her on a couple of days ago, but she's not on live this morning because she's on vacation.
In Alaska. Yeah.
So that's where she's at. So we give her the day off. How early would it be in Alaska right now? Are they... Now, we know Hawaii is like 4 hours away. It would be early in the morning in Alaska right now. So we decided not to bother her this morning. So
give her a break.
But anyway, we're going to play a portion of that interview. She had some good comments about Noah Gragson, so that we'll play that later on in the hour.
Do we want to play the Zach Blurton now?
Yeah, we could.
Let's do that. You ready, D?
We'll give her time to get ready.
She'll be ready
to go.
She's pretty fast.
Zach Blurton,
Deidre, she knows her way around that equipment pretty good.
Yeah.
She's not an amateur. It's not like throwing somebody that doesn't know what they're doing back there.
Now, we had two former 305 stars win at Waikini last weekend. You had Jake Buback on Saturday night, and then Sunday night, Zach Blurton.
Yeah.
So those two guys were the big winners, and they know that racetrack pretty well. Unfortunately, that track kind of got a lot of rubber on it on Sunday night. That's unfortunate when that happens that way. But the wind did blow out in western Kansas and really dried that racetrack out at Waikini. And unfortunately, it was a rubber down racetrack. But Zach Blurton started where he did, and he made it count. And he knows his way around Waikini Speedway. And he spoke with Scott Traylor on Mostly Motorsports a couple of days ago, and we're going to play a portion of that interview right now.
This had to be a pretty special moment in your life to win that Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour race. You started on the pole. You led a bunch of laps. Bring it up a little.
Kind of take us through that race and what your feelings were as you were leading that race.
You got something on the screen that it's not supposed to be on there.
First off, Waikini
What are you doing?
Speedway is a racetrack that's just right down the interstate from us, and about.
This had to be a pretty special moment in your life to win that Lucas. This had to be a pretty special moment in your life to win that Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour race. You started on the pole. You led a bunch of laps. Kind of take us through that race and what your feelings were as you were leading that race.
Yeah, first off, Waikini Speedway is a racetrack that's just right down the interstate from us, and about 20 minutes. And I've raced there a lot and won a lot in the 305s there, and so for it to be that close to home, first off, is super, super special. And there was a lot of people there from around town and stuff, and it just was a pretty surreal night. Everything just went good. We were fast in hot laps, quick time in our group and overall, and started fourth in a heat race and got to second in it right away. And Matt Covington was leading it, and at that point I'm thinking, man, second to Matt Covington, that's pretty good. And just started running the top really hard, and we started gaining on him. I'm like, holy cow, I think I might drive by him, and we were able to, and got lucky with the redraw and was able to draw the 0, and that put us starting at the front of the A. But I guess in this Kansas heat right now and stuff, and the wind was blowing like crazy, so the track did end up rubbering up in the feature, so I'm glad I got to start up front to start that, though.
Boy, that yellow come out right at the right time. Blake just got around you there, and the caution comes out. You're probably thinking, man, this is my break right here, right?
Yeah. I knew well, them first few starts we had, every start, you know, Jason Martin slid by me and Blake slid by me, and we finally got one where I was good, and then yeah, Blake had got by me, and that yellow came out, and I knew we were single file then, and I just kind of, you know, thought, you know, here maybe we can get some good clean laps together, and the car just started feeling better and better as the race went on. So yeah, then Blake actually drove. We got into lap traffic in that thing, and he drove by me and in 3 and 4, and I got stuck behind the lap car, and then going into 1 and 2, he got stuck behind the lap car, and I was able to go back around the outside, and that's when that yellow came out. And definitely a lot of good cars with the ASCS, and to be able to win one of those, honestly was something that I thought was probably just a dream, you know,
Right.
something that in my career is probably as high up as I had, you know, honestly planned of accomplishing, you know, and there's not any really 410 racing out here. And so I thought if in my career, if I could win a ASCS National Tour show, that'd be pretty special.
Did you have any nerves when you were leading that race? Was there during those cautions? Did you have to kind of calm yourself down a little bit and think about what you needed to do on those restarts?
Yeah. My dad was telling me that you know, on the restarts I was doing good and stuff and everything. So that definitely helped. But yeah, I mean, any time that, you know, you get a restart and you get guys like that on your back bumper, it's definitely nerve-wracking, and probably more, though, I'm glad it was all them restarts just to get out of lap traffic and just in clean air. So yeah, I was definitely nervous, but also kind of relieved at the same time when they'd come out.
Right. So, and what is the plans for you? Are you going to run mostly 360, or are you still running the Rebel Series a little bit?
This year we're not running anything for points. We're just racing around where we want, when we want, and I'm still going to plan on running all the big 305 shows coming up and stuff like that. But right now, I think I got, you know, 12 national tour shows left that are pretty close to home. You know, I can't take off and go out on the road a lot. I work for my father-in-law and his business, and we are extremely busy right now. And I probably honestly don't need to be going racing at all, but I'm grateful that he lets me. But no, I want to run this 360 a bunch more, and the more I drive it, the better I get in it.
This had to be a pretty special moment in your life. All right. Would you cut that one off a little short there, D? No? All right.
Huh. And
I
edited that down too, but I didn't notice that. That could be my fault.
That could be your fault, Kirk Elliott.
Seemed kind of abrupt ending there.
It's always fun to see a first-time winner, though, isn't it?
It is. And he's, you know, they got that newborn daughter about a month and a half ago.
Right.
So, you know, that's always going to keep you busy. So,
and he's got a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
2 little girls.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? Not at my age. There's no way that I would do that.
Well, you had 2 daughters.
Mine are grown up.
Been a while since they were that age, though, hasn't it? So they're all grown up.
Right.
But you've been through that. You know what that's about.
Deidre was young enough, but she wasn't built for it.
Say what?
She wasn't built for it when I met her, or I might have had another one.
Oh, my God.
You know, Dee was 39 when I met her. Weren't you, Dee?
Don't say how old Dee is.
She doesn't care. Do you care how old you are, Dee? Is it a secret? Do you mind telling people?
I guess it's not a secret.
It's not anymore.
Right?
Oh, my God.
Well, that was a few years ago. So, anyway, as Zach Blurton beat Blake Hahn, Jason Martin, Brandon Anderson, and Jake Bubak, those were your top 5 finishers. If you go back and you look at the points, this was a huge point weekend for Blake Hahn. Wayne Johnson didn't have good runs this last weekend, and I think at the start of the weekend, Wayne Johnson was up by 50-some points. And by the end of the weekend, Blake Hahn is ahead of Wayne Johnson by 41 points by the end of the weekend.
And Wayne's got to break out a brand-new race car now, doesn't he?
Well, it appears that car was really hurt. They didn't get the replay.
We didn't see it.
We didn't see the wreck. So we don't know exactly what happened over there.
Down in turns 3 and 4, wasn't it?
You know, it's tough for single cameraman to get every wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big one because it cost Wayne Johnson a race car, and I hope he's okay. Got a little shaken up in that?
I think he was a little shaken up. You know, should I say this or not? I sure miss Jeff Christensen doing the camera work for Lucas Oil ASCS.
He was great, wasn't he?
He's the best cameraman there was in the business.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best.
Who's Jeff working for right now? What's he doing?
He works for Race on Texas, but he does nothing but a bunch of local racing down there in Texas.
Well, he should be the guy up there doing these races.
He doesn't want to travel anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. He just doesn't want to beat up and down the road like a gypsy.
He's not a young pup anymore.
Yeah,
he's about as old as we are, isn't he?
He's older than you.
Great camera guy, though.
He's the best. Nothing better than Jeff Christensen. He is absolutely, by far, my favorite cameraman that I've worked with.
Now, no ASCS racing this weekend?
No.
What,
did you hear about the race down in Texas and Mississippi?
Was it a tire issue? What's going on?
Tire issue. They canceled those 2 races. In fact, they took them completely off the schedule. They're not even on the schedule.
That sucks.
Yeah. But it was more of a tire issue from what I was told. I don't know if you can let me go back here and see if I can find a news article about that.
Now, they're going to be at US 36 Raceway next Friday night.
Right.
And then they were supposed to have a race down in Concord, Oklahoma, the following night, but that has been taken off the schedule. Tulsa Speedway coming up on July 21st. They got that Speed Week coming up like they've had the last couple of years. 2 years ago, it was it was not a national tour Speed Week, but it was more of a regional. Last year, it was a full-fledged Lucas Oil ASCS Speed Week, and that's coming up again. So they're going to have a whole bunch of races coming up here towards the end of July. And that all starts at Tulsa Speedway on July 21st. The following night, they're going to be at Batesville Speedway. You were down there last year.
Yeah.
I-30 Speedway on
That's
Saturday
where it
night.
all went down, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. July 23rd at I-30 Speedway at Hammer Hill. And then the following week, July 27th at Caney Valley Speedway. 81 Speedway on July 28th. And Creek County Salina Speedway close out the week, and then you're into Lakeside Speedway. We're going to be coming to Lakeside Speedway August 2nd.
Twice this year.
Yeah, in early August, then again in September when the Cup Series comes back in. And then it's 360 Nationals at Knoxville coming up after that. And so they're going to be pretty busy once they get into next weekend at US 36 Speedway. Then after that, the next couple 3 weeks are going to be really busy for the Lucas Oil ASCS Tour.
I wouldn't mind going on Speed Week. You want to go, D? You can't.
I have
got
to
to work.
And I don't miss Speed Week being on the road. That was brutal.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but if you're not doing the broadcast and you're just selling T-shirts, it might not be so bad.
I don't know. It's a lot of days out in the sun. Tempers flare.
We fired our biggest employee down there at Batesville last year, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, my. Let's not get into that.
Well, it's what happens when you slap somebody upside the head and throw a chair at them. You get fired for that, especially when it's the owner of the company.
Let's not talk about that.
Let's
Nobody
keep
cares.
it G-rated today.
G-rated? All right. Okay. All right.
Hey, do you think Austin is sleeping right now? Would we wake him up? I'd love to hear about his experience.
Do you got his
last night.
phone number there, Deidre? Give him a call and see if you can get him.
He's probably sleeping right now.
He's probably doing maintenance.
Is he?
Probably.
Would they have traveled towards Knoxville last night, or would they have just waited till today to do that? I don't know where they stayed. I didn't talk to Austin to find out where they were planning.
I don't know how
staying
far
at.
they went down the road last night.
I don't know.
But I was happy for him to see a fourth place finish.
I'd love to hear him talk right now.
Yeah.
And his thoughts about going in, and he's got to have a ton of confidence going into Knoxville tonight, don't you think?
Well, he's never raced at Knoxville.
Wasn't he up there one time last year?
He was up there, and I think they got rained out or something.
out.
Yeah.
So he really hasn't turned laps at Knoxville yet.
Yeah.
He was going to do it a couple of weeks ago, and the weather kind of scared him from going. I remember that. He planned on going to Knoxville, and then the weather forecast didn't look good, and guess what? He didn't go, and they ended up racing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think she's talking to him. I think we might have a chance
he
to
might have answered
have
right
a word
away.
with him.
But I'd love to hear his thoughts about the racetrack up there and how everything went. I think it was a heavy racetrack last night.
It had to be because he
at
started
I-80.
seventh in his heat race and ran seventh in the heat. And that always tells me when that track's a little heavy, it gets narrow and it's fast and you can't pass. Is that him?
Well, he passed.
Pot him up. All right, we're going to bring him on right now. Producer of Mostly Motorsports and sprint car driver himself. Had a great run last night. Started 14th, ended up running 4th. Austin O'Neill is joining us on the show right now. Austin, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. I mean, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, so it's about as good as you can get after a decent night at I-80. So
yeah. So let me ask you: was the track heavy and fast in your heat race?
it was like that all night long. So I talked to my buddy Ace Throathammer into coming and helping us this weekend because I was running 2 nights at I-80 in Knoxville. I needed a little extra help,
Right.
during maintenance, like what we're doing right now in the parking lot at our wonderful Courtyard Hotel in Omaha. But no, I'm like, Ace, this place is known for getting really slick and taking rubber about lap 10, 12 of the feature. And, man, I just hope we don't burn any tires up and get through tonight and go to Knoxville with a good set of tires. And, we walked out, and I was talking to an official there when we pulled in, and they had 2 inches of rain in the past 2 days. And I'm like, all right, maybe we might get us a good track. And when we fired off for hot laps, it was kind of greasy, and it ran in well. And then the heat race was pretty good. The track was about halfway up. It had a good, I wouldn't call it a cushion, but it was starting to kind of, till up and get kind of fluffy. And then they went out there during intermission. They packed it, and it rolled in really nice and tight. And they brought their big, like Targator, farm implements out, and we were kind of watching them roll around there. And there was so much moisture in the track, and with the temperatures kind of cooling off, it brought all the moisture back up in it. And you could see them when they were packing it in, like the water shooting out of the bottom of the track. So we got to see that a track kind of shows some characteristics that it normally doesn't. But yeah, no, it was really fast and heavy all night long, and we ran the feature and track. We packed the track in, top to bottom before we fired off, and it developed a pretty good, I'd say some of a fluffy cushion right in the middle of the track. And the 20-lap feature, we went from kind of running the top the first handful of laps to around the bottom. But a good night on equipment. We don't get lucky like that very often and get a good track, but if we can keep every track like that, or have that track every night we go to I-80, I'd appreciate it.
So where did you pass the most amount of cars? Were you the hard charger last night?
Yeah, I buried myself in a hole after the heat race. I had a bad pill draw, and a guy came across my nose off of 2 on the start, and it kind of like half spun me, and I thought I knocked the right front down off the bead, and I rolled to a stop. I didn't. You're going so fast up there, I'm not going to take a chance to turn my stuff up, and
right.
So I went back to 9th, got to 7th, and I didn't pass anybody. So I lined up 14th, and like I said, we all went up there and packed the track in before we took off for the green. And my plan was, I knew they were all going to race down the bottom and fight for the bottom. And my plan was to kind of do what I did at I-70 a couple weeks ago, was just, go into one and maybe go kind of above the fluffy stuff that was packed down and try and clear a couple cars in the first couple laps and then get down and race it on the bottom. And I think we had a yellow on lap 5 or so.
Yeah.
And I went from running 14th to 9th. Wow. We had maybe, I think, jacked over, and Don Stroud broke on the yellow, so that gave me an extra 2 spots. And then we fired off, and they do the only sprint car track that I know of in the country that does a Delaware double fault restart. And so it lined me up on the inside both times, and I didn't want to do that. I knew, so I was racing Stu Snyder really hard, and I showed him the top, and I got by him, and the yellow came out, and I gave him the top, and it put me on the bottom, and I knew he would do what I did, and I'd fall back a couple spots, and I was able to stick the bottom off of 2 on the restart, and I went from running 7th to 4th in a half a lap or so. So at that point, I knew the track changed, and I was watching Jason Martin, Chris Martin, and Cody Ledger in front of me all run the bottom, and I could see the track kind of develop like a marbly, like in the middle, like you can check where the right rear throws some dirt out, like in the middle. And I saw the top getting really dirty. I knew nobody was up there, so I just committed to the bottom and held on. But yeah, my game plan of trying to fire it off and run around as many cars as I could on the top worked out to my benefit.
How close were you to Cody Ledger there at the end?
So when I got free of 5th and got into 4th after the restart, I was about a straightaway back because the top 3 kind of checked out, and I was just sitting a little over a straightaway back, and I kind of committed to the bottom and just focused on, I think I had 12 laps to go when I got to 4th, and just committed on hitting my marks. And I ran him down to probably, my race pass said it was a second difference, but it's probably 5-6 car lengths. I mean,
Wow.
5 more laps, 10 more laps, I could have got by him with the track being really narrow. But yeah, so he was running the bottom for the entire race, but with like 5 to go, he went from running the bottom to the top. And I knew that's where nobody needed to be. But if you're just going to give up a lane like that, I'll take advantage of it, and I was able to run him down. But with him only running his 20 laps, it just didn't give me an opportunity to get to him. I think if I didn't bury myself in the hole like I did on the pill draw in a bad heat race, we might have won the thing. It's not a top 3, but it was a good night.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah, the only other guy that seemed to be past anybody was Don Stroud Jr., right, until he broke. Something happened to his ignition or something happened to him.
I believe it was the fuel pump that fell off. Fell off or broke.
Oh.
But yeah, Don, so we got there, and I was counting the cars in the parking or the pits, and all the cars that were there when I went into 3rd. They were there, and then some big haulers rolled in, and it was Chris Martin, Don Stroud, and a couple other cars. So with that 34 Raceway cancellation with the Outlaws, I brought a couple cars over to where I-80 was, and gave them an 18-car field, and I thought I put on a pretty good show.
You didn't have a good pill draw, though, did you, bud?
No, I drew an 85.
I saw that.
And the way they do the pill draw, I'm used to ASCS, where it's either a bingo deal, so they spin it and give you your number. And I mean, nowhere you race that, they usually let you pull a pill, so it's your own discretion of if you're going to give yourself a good night or a bad night, or it's your own fate. But no, it's a style where you walk up to the window, give them your $50 entry fee, and they press the button for you. And whatever number you get's what you got. So you have no control of what's going on. And I had a good run going of a couple good pill draws, low 20s or whatever, and getting, second row, front row starting spots and heats. But like I told the buddy of mine up there last night, they're just going to make me work for it tonight. So that's what we had to do.
All right. So we're going to get to watch you on Dirt Vision tonight. That's good for us because I did not like having to look at my race pass to find out how you did. That just drove me crazy all night.
No, I don't like it either. But for I-80, this being their last season, if we knew that it was closing because Joe and Steve are ready to retire,
Right.
you wouldn't understand why they'd be closing, I guess, because the stands are full, the pits are full, and they had a great following. It's just unfortunate that we're going to see that go away. But yeah, I wish they would open up the streaming and let some providers in there. Maybe when I go back on July 20th for the Silver Dollar Prelude race, that they'll allow MAP TV or Flow and come in there and stream that. I'm not sure what their plan is, but yeah, Dirt Vision tonight at Knoxville, so it should be interesting. We learned a couple things last night, and we continue to get better on the half mile stuff. So it's always good to roll into a place like that with confidence.
Maybe Racing Boys could do it.
Do what?
Maybe
do a broadcast up at I-80, the final broadcast.
No.
Kirk says no.
Hey, we love My Race Pass, though. We love My Race Pass.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way they got that set up with most of the racetracks across the country, the instantaneous results you get from them is terrific. So we want to make that clear.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I can go back and on the way to the hotel or the car wash last night, we got to go back and see what our lap time breakdown was and our intervals to Cody Ledger and the cars in front of us and yes, I was probably over a straightaway back from Jason Martin who won it, but I was a tenth faster than him the last 2 laps of the race. So it's that little stuff that's really important to your operation that you don't get to see and the guys that developed My Race Pass looked into an industry or a market that needed to be fulfilled, and they're doing a great job at it.
Yeah,
and Jason Martin has been running really well here lately, so he's got it going on.
Just experience. I mean, I'm not sure if he had really anything for Don Droud last night because Don, kind of checked out and the fuel pump broke. But yeah, he's just experience. He has a good package behind him. He's been doing it a long time. He's no stranger to I-80, and even the Boone County track up there last Friday with the National Tour in Waukene too. So it's with ASCS scaling back their schedule, it put it more in the Midwest, more tracks that Jason's raced at, and his notebook might be a little older, but he's still going there with notes. Where teams are having to go there, with no notebook and are sitting there, half the night, all night long, trying to find a balance or a baseline, and they're just, they're out of the ballpark. So that's what I think Jason's has going for him. And I mean, we talked about on Wesley Motorsports a couple of times is. He's raced with the Outlaws, Gumout, ASCS, and the 305 stuff. So he's been around it forever.
And tonight you don't have to worry about the pill draw. It's about time trials. You got to go out there and qualify well.
Yeah, that should be. I haven't qualified. I mean, I used to qualify a lot when I raced, flat carts when I was, a kid. But I've only qualified the sprint car 4 times now. This will be night 5. So I'm still trying to get better at it. And I think, it's the biggest thing at Knoxville or any half mile is just being calm with your hands. And I-70 taught me a lot about how to do that last week. I was pretty, wild on the wheel. And, last night I was just, sitting there letting the car drive itself really and not really exerting a lot of force and strain on the wheel and letting the car kind of do the work for me. And so I think that's going to really benefit me going into qualifying tonight just by keeping everything straight and not creating any, drag or, erratic moves that'll slow my lap time down. But yeah, it should be fun. Maybe we do all right tonight and come back next week or, a couple more times before the season's over. And maybe you never know. Maybe we can try and make a run at the points up there next year.
Hey, you know what? Just keep those elbows down in and try not to twist on that wheel much and keep that thing flat-footed, all right?
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see how well we execute it tonight, and hopefully we get into the 6-car invert for the heat races and, maybe get a couple points and roll off from the top 10 and make my night easy again.
Yeah. All right, Austin, we're going to let you get back to work. I know you got a lot to do. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us this morning. We were just wanting to see how you were doing, so I appreciate it.
Yep, sounds good anytime.
All right.
Good going.
We'll see you, Austin.
All right.
Good luck tonight.
Right. Thank you.
All right, there
That's
you have
good.
it, Austin
Good
O'Neill.
stuff. Hey, I want to mention Cody Ledger. That's the first time he'd been back behind the wheel of a sprint car in 10 months, I heard him say last night. You remember he was caught up in a bad wreck here last year, and he hadn't even driven a car for, they said, 10 months. That was his first time back in a race car last night, and
Right.
he ends up third. So good going,
Yeah.
Cody Ledger. Good
Yeah.
to see you back.
Good to see. Now, do we want to do the Lee Spencer now?
We can do that now.
All right. You about ready over there, Deidre? You tell us when you're ready.
Lee Spencer is not with us live this morning because she's in Alaska.
She's on vacation.
First time to Alaska, they said. So it's early out there.
You know, if I'm going to go somewhere for a vacation, I'm going where it's warm, not cold.
Well, it should be. If you're going to go to Alaska, now's the time to do it.
I don't know.
In July.
I don't think I'll ever go to Alaska.
I wouldn't want to go there in December or January.
All right.
So anyway, Lee Spencer was on with Scott a couple of days ago, and she offered her thoughts about the Noah Gragson incident. And here's a little bit of that conversation that Scott Traylor had with our own Lee Spencer on Mostly Motorsports.
I want to know what your feelings are about the penalty that was handed down to Noah Gragson. What do you think?
Well, I mean, after listening to all angles of it, you know, it seemed reasonable. I thought the $35,000 was a bit much, unless they were going to take that money and turn it over to the drivers involved in the yard sale at Road America, right?
Yeah.
Because they tore up a ton of cars. You know, 13 cars were involved in that incident, and when you think about some of those guys, they can't afford to lose cars. And when you see somebody like Brandon Brown, you know, on his knees, you know, because those belts were a little bit too tight around, you know, his anatomy. Well, I'll just say that.
Yeah, his personal area, right.
You know, when you have the, you know, where you just feel like you've had the living bejeebus kicked out of you, then that's a tough, you know, tough situation.
Yeah, Lee, when was the last time a driver was penalized for rough driving? Do you know the answer to that question?
Oh, not off the top of my head, but you know, the biggest one that comes to mind is the Matt Kenseth Joey Logano deal, and you know, Matt Kenseth didn't take out half the field, so you know, I'm sure there's been something that happened since then, but I mean, that's like that was one of the biggies. Kyle Busch taking out Ron Hornaday in the truck race. I mean, that not only got him sidelined, but it lost a sponsor with Z-Line that had been with them for a long time. It's you know, there's just, I don't know. It's going to be a learning moment for him, I think. But and if it's not, then you know, that's on him. I mean,
Right.
as much as I enjoy his company and as you know, as much fun as Noah is to be around, he's the closest thing I've discovered to an Eddie Haskell type character in my 30 years of covering the sport. And you know, people our age will get that reference, but you know, he's fun to be around. I give him that, but man, it's there's a sense of entitlement there that, you know, I've always felt that, and you know, not everybody gets a free ride in NASCAR,
Right.
and there are you know, like I said, teaching moments that these guys have to. They're presented with, and either they learn from it and they, you know, go on and thrive in the sport, or, you know, they get marginalized pretty quickly.
Right. Do you think the words of Dale Jr. and Kelly yesterday, they were on Sirius Satellite Radio, do you think their words influenced NASCAR to bring on the penalty? Because they kind of acted like they knew something was coming. Was the penalty handled down on Wednesday because Monday was a holiday and that's why they moved it to Wednesday? Or do you think that they listened to Dale Jr. and Kelly and thought, you know what, we need to do something? What do you think happened there?
I mean, honestly, I probably could have written enough over what I heard from them, but I kind of want to get a couple of outside sources, you know, that aren't close to the situation to comment on it. So I asked Brad Keselowski about that this morning and got his point of view on it, and he's gone through things like that. I mean,
Right.
Brad's one of those in your face kind of guys, right?
Yep.
So, he's had that moment when he's had to sit down with the sanctioning body and do the mea culpa, and it's most of them have been there. There's not. Everybody really has that moment because I don't have to tell you these guys at their local short tracks if they've come up that way, and not as many are coming up that way as it used
Right.
to be, but
Yeah.
some still are, and there used to be a pecking order at the local short track where usually the veterans would teach the young kids how to behave.
Yeah.
You don't have that as much when kids are growing up on video games, right?
Yep.
So it's, there's really nobody to take them aside and say, hey, this is kind of where you needed to be with this, that, or the other. And so I think that Noah, the one thing he has in his favor is that he brings a big checkbook.
I want to know what your feelings are about the penalty that was handed down to Noah Gragson. What do you think?
Well, I mean, after listening to all angles of it, it seemed reasonable. I thought the $35,000 was a bit much, unless they were going to take that money and turn it over to the drivers involved in the yard sale at Road America, right?
Yeah.
Because they tore up a ton of cars. 13 cars were involved in that incident, and when you think about some of those guys, they can't afford to lose cars. And when you see somebody like Brandon Brown, on his knees, because those belts were a little bit too tight around, his anatomy. Well, I'll just say that.
Yeah, his personal area, right.
When you have when you just feel like you've had the living bejeebus kicked out of you, then that's a tough, tough.
All right, instant replay right there on the Lee Spencer interview.
That interview started over again.
It looped it. It looped.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lee is going to miss that race at Atlanta this weekend that I'm looking forward to.
I am too.
That was a barn burner back in March when William Byron won that. I was skeptical. They changed that racetrack down in Atlanta, that they put more banking into it. So what the heck are they doing? Putting more banking into it. But then you watch that 500-mile race in March, and I said, I get it now. I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a show.
Yeah, that's good.
400 miles this time. It's
Yeah.
not 500. It's a 400-mile race. So I think it's going to be a heck of a show on Sunday.
Kelly said, does the ASCS run time trials? Love them on bull rings like US 36. They do run time trials now. That's part of their new program.
But it's not single car time trials.
And we stand corrected. It didn't rain up there the last time. Austin had a freeze plug that was leaking. Remember?
Okay.
He told us that.
That's it.
Yeah.
But they run group time trials now in ASCS. Is that the way they bring them out for like hot laps and they time them in that way?
They group them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I know a lot of those guys didn't like the pill draw. It was okay if you ran the qualifiers. If you had just the heats and the B's and the A, they didn't like it so much. But if you had the qualifiers, which they added in if you got a certain amount of cars, right, Scott? 30,
Right.
What it was, 30, 35 cars, then they ran qualifiers. And that allowed you to go out and earn more passing points, which was fine. But in a lot of those events, a lot of these guys felt that if they got a bad pill draw, it'd ruin their whole night.
Well, I mean, especially if the track was heavy and fast and
Right.
narrow, in your heat race and you started at the back, it made it difficult for some of the regulars, the National Tour regular guys. Kent said, I think promoters are starting to notice the crowd reaction when traditional sprint cars go to tracks that don't have them, and we are seeing more bigger non-wing shows. Kyle Larson and streaming have both been a boost to sprints. I would agree with all that.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, there's a lot of good that's come out of live streaming. So, but a lot of the promoters of the weekly programs are a little bit worried. And you see a lot of the weekly shows being live streamed now. And that's where I'm not sure that's the way to go.
Right.
With your weekly programs to live stream them, because I do think that has an impact on your crowd.
Right.
If you're running a weekly program and you're live streaming your shows, I do think after a while it'll affect your crowd. The big events, I don't think so much. People are still going to show up at the big events.
Pete, our friend from upstate New York, said Jordan McCready, Tim's brother, won a dirt modified feature last night, Can-Am Speedway, last night near Watertown, New York.
Near Tim McCready's hometown.
Right.
Congratulations to him.
Tammy, and we always love Tammy when she chimes in. She said the Eastern Storm races for USAC has become a fan favorite in the middle of PA. Posse 410 wing sprint car country, 5 or 6 days every year. How about that?
Yeah, that's a pretty good bet. They ran non-wing sprints at Williams Grove last night, and Alex Bright comes through with the win over Briggs Danner, and pretty good action there. And, we talked about Anthony Macri winning the 410 feature last night. Tanner Thorson, we wondered about him.
Right.
Where's Tanner Thorson been after he stepped out of that dry Reinbold ride? Well, he won his first 410 wing sprint car feature last night at Attica Speedway. So congratulations to Tanner Thorson, the Chili Bowl champion, wins his first 410 wing sprint car.
He's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I like this, what Paul said. Wayne is lucky. Crawdaddy was nice. I thought the same thing, Paul. I thought if there was one person you don't want to jack with, it would be Tim Crawley, because I think Tim Crawley'd go over there. I don't know if he'd have his way with Wayne, but I think it wouldn't be fun if you are Wayne, if you got into it with him. I thought the same thing. I'm glad that somebody else thought that as well.
Now, Crawley, he's running the full tour this year. He seems like he's been to all the races.
Canceled Caney also. I think he's talking about ASCS right there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Here's another tidbit of information from Pete. And thank you, Pete, for everything that you put up there, man. It's always nice to have a little extra input from some of our listeners out there. He said the Xfinity Series qualifying at Atlanta has been canceled due to rain. Ty Gibbs will start from the pole. Cup qualifying still scheduled for today at 11:30 Eastern Time.
Then after that, it's supposed to be the Camping World Truck Series race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So hopefully Mother Nature can cooperate, get all those activities in the rest of the day.
Right.
We talked about Lakeside Speedway. I think we might have mentioned it a little bit earlier.
So quickly, because we don't talk much about local racing here on Track Talk, but they only had 7 A-mods last night.
7 A-mods last night.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's time to get rid of them.
I think you need more than 7 to really
It's time.
sustain it.
It's time. Listen, it's dwindling down to nothing.
They had 15 B-mods last night.
That's not very many either, right? Let me just ask somebody out there: is modified racing dying on the vine right now? Is it getting too expensive? The B mods are getting really expensive. The A mods are really, really expensive if you're going to compete with the USMTS guys or run for some big USRA races. Those cars are getting very expensive. Where does it end? Where does the cost go down? Do you got to go all the way back to an E-mod to afford to race a modified now? Is that what we're up against?
The good car count out there last night was in the stock car class. They had over 25 of those cars, at least 25 cars that started the A-main last night in the USRA stock car class. E-mods, they had 12 cars start that A-main. Pure stocks, they had 14 cars. So, by the way,
they had 12 Bs,
12 E-mods, 15 B-mods,
15 Es, they're Bs, and 7, right?
And at least 25 USRA stock cars. So that's
they only
class
had,
they had the big
listen,
number.
Kurt. They only had 34 modifieds.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, there was a day when there was 45 A-mods out there.
Yeah. But, you know, those times are changed for everybody. We're just going to see those kind of car counts anywhere. They didn't have all that many.
I love Lakeside. I want nothing but the best to happen for Lakeside.
I mean, you look at Humboldt Speedway last night, they didn't have all that many race cars. I'll get into that here in a minute, but just to update the winners at Lakeside last night. Nick Benninger winning the USRA Modified Division. B-Mods won by Tim Powell. Chad Clancy won the stock car class. Stephen Makar in the E-Mod division, and Chase Galvin repeating in the pure stock class at Lakeside.
And US 36 got rained out last night.
They did. Humboldt Speedway, they ran last night. They had USRA mods. They had 10 USRA A-mods at Humboldt last night. Tad Davis beat Tyler Davis to the line in the USRA Modified Division. And in the USRA B-Mods, they only had 10 of those cars at Humboldt. Gabe Hodges winning the feature event there. So car counts are not that great most any of these weekly racetracks. Lucas Oil Speedway, I think, still draws a pretty good number. We'll see them in action tonight.
Yeah. I love Tammy's thoughts here. She said $50,000 modified, $50,000 modified cars to win $1,000 for a local show doesn't make sense to me. I'm with you.
We used to say that's a big, you know, when Earl Walls was putting that number
was big
out there
money.
for $1,000 to win here just a few years ago, we're saying, wow, he's putting up $1,000 to win. Now you're hearing comments like that said, well, you know, $1,000, that's not very much anymore.
You know, to be honest with you, Tammy, they're probably $60,000 because I've heard that MB Customs, maybe one of the most popular modifieds out there, to buy one of those with no engine, no transmission, no shocks, that costs $35,000. Then you got to have a $22,000 motor. Then you got to have another $3,000 or $4,000 transmission. And then you got to buy your shocks. So I bet it's closer to $60,000, to be honest with you.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot more expensive. Just travel to get to the racetrack costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So.
Paul said Blake Hahn's going to run the Caney 410 race. Tire shortage cancellation. Lloyd says, not dying, too many classes of modifieds at Lakeside. That's what Lloyd says.
Well, the B-Mods had been drawing pretty good number at Lakeside, not so much last night.
Just get rid of the A-Mods. Here's what you do. You get rid of a couple classes. Bring it back down to 3 classes. You pick the classes. I'm not going to pick them. You eliminate them. You get 3 classes, and you concentrate on those 3 classes. Because when Lakeside was successful, they only had 3 classes.
Well, that USRA stock car division seems to be pretty popular, so that's a no-brainer.
Right.
And one modified class. Mark Olson had this philosophy that he wanted all of his classes to be so distinct that the fans could tell the difference between the classes.
Different period of time, though.
Yeah.
The buzz of Lakeside going dirt is over.
Right. And also, the promoters are all backgate promoters now.
Yeah.
So the more pit passes you sell, that's what it's all about. So
I want nothing but the best for Lakeside, though.
Yeah. It's a great racetrack.
Yeah.
Lucas Schott won the USRA Modified division up at Deer Creek last night over Brandon Davis and Jim Chisholm. Dustin Sorensen and Jeremy Nelson rounded out the top 5. Some pretty good runners in that USRA Modified division this weekend, running with Lucas Oil late models up there. So that's racing that's worth watching. Some pretty good runners in the Modifieds up there, and they'll do it again tonight.
Right. Lloyd, you cannot disagree with me. Lakeside was the most successful when it had 3 classes. He says, come on, Scott. Now, I didn't say Lakeside, just too many classes of modifieds overall. But would you agree with me, Kirk? 3 classes.
Yeah, I thought Lakeside was as popular as it ever was the days they were running 3 classes.
Right. Even on pavement, we ran 3 classes.
Yeah. So you start diluting the product and extending the show. You're not as focused in on the race fans as you are the racers at the back gate.
Yeah.
And something's got to give. And back in the day when Lakeside had 3 classes, the focus was more on the grandstand side. And therefore, more people showed up to watch.
Yeah. Hey, I want to do something. I want to remind people about the what's going on up at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum right now. They've got a track tribute to Ascot Park, and that's taking place right now. It's going to be going on through October 1st. They've got all kinds of cars up there, videos, driver uniforms, helmets, memorabilia. Ascot Park is one of the great venues really one of the great venues of all time in America. And it's such a great tribute, and you need to get up there. That's October. It's going through October 1st. Also, don't forget about the 2022 IMSA GTLM Championship Edition C8R Corvette. They will be drawing that on Saturday, August 13th during the Knoxville Nationals. If you can't make it to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum to register in person, you can do so by going online to Corvette, the letter C, the number 8, the letter R, contest.com. That's Corvette, C8R contest.com. This Corvette is only one of 1,000, folks, so you want to make sure that you get registered for that Corvette, because I've seen them as high as $300,000 online. So you might want to do that. And also, they got the sprint car raffle going on, and they will draw for that car on Friday, December 16th. And if you can't make it up there, it's a 2022 XXX chassis with a 410 motor in it. It's a turnkey 410 sprint car, folks. And I think they're going to give you $25,000 on top of that to help pay for the taxes for it as well. But if you can't make it up to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, you can always register online with sprintcarraffle.com. That's www.sprintcarraffle.com. Again, sprintcarraffle.com if you would like to take a chance on winning a 2022 XXX chassis, a turnkey 410 sprint car. So a lot of good things going on up at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And make sure that you tell them the Racing Boys sent you if you go up there, would you?
You know, I was looking at the lineup for the race up at Deer Creek tonight. The top 16 have already locked in. I think they had some kind of a point system, but the top 16 are already locked in. Guess who starts on the pole tonight for that 75-lap race? Jonathan Davenport.
That might not be much of a show.
On the outside, Chris Madden. Row 2, Brandon Overton and Tim McCready, Mike Marlar and Johnny Scott. Row 3, Brandon Shepard, Ricky Weiss. Row 4, Jimmy Owens and Ricky Thornton Jr. Row 5. Then it's Tyler Erb and Brett Larson, Earl Pearson Jr. and Kyle Strickler. Tyler Bruning and Hudson O'Neill are the drivers that are already locked in and won't have to run any preliminary races for tonight.
Ryan Ragland says Lakeside was hopping when they were NASCAR sanctioned. But they did that last year, didn't they?
Yeah. But NASCAR sanction for weekly racing is a lot different than it was
back in
25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just a different situation.
Greg says one of Lakeside's problems is no inversion. That could be. Put on a better show if you put the fast cars at the back, right? That's Larry Castor's. That's what he did to Gene Claxton back in the day.
But things are different than when Larry Castor was running races. Back then, you had one or two guys that were just far better than everybody else.
Kirk. When you put the fast guys at the back and you got to make them race through the field, does that make better racing?
It was great back then.
Kirk, when you put the fast, listen to me. When you put the fast cars in the back of the field, start them 10th or 12th, are they going to put on a better show trying to rip through the field to get to the front? Yes or no?
But that's the point. They're not going to rip through the field. Everybody's got good equipment now.
You don't know that.
It's tougher to do that now than it was back in
You
Gene
don't know that,
heyday.
Kirk. You don't know that. There's still some drivers that are capable of coming from the back.
There are, but the difference between now and back then is everybody's got good equipment.
So
and the
what?
competition is so hard.
So then everybody's equal. And then drivers with the talent rise. The cream always rises to the top, Kirk. Don't you know that? The cream always rises to the top.
But if you put the fast guy at the back nowadays, he's not going to win.
You don't know that. I've seen guys, Austin O'Neill, come from 14th to 4th last night.
To 4th.
I know it. I know it.
Even if you put Anthony Macri at the back of the pack at Williams Grove last night, he's not going to win that race. Yes, he did come from 8th or wherever he started, but the deal is nowadays, Scott, you know this, everybody's got good equipment.
So what? The best driver always rises to the top.
A lot of times that's true.
I always believe that.
A lot of times that's
the best driver always makes it to the front.
But I remember back...
Anthony Macri, great example.
Right.
8th last night, won the race. Right?
Right. But back when Gene Claxton was just kicking everybody's butt back then, they had to put him at the back. Otherwise, he'd for sure win every week. And he still won when they put him at the back,
Well,
right?
that was back in the 80s
Right.
and the 70s, Kirk. That was a long, long time ago.
That's right.
But still, the good drivers always, the cream always rises to the top.
Oh, I'm with you
Always.
on that.
Always.
But it's just harder to do now than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tammy said not one heat winner at Deer Creek elected to start 11th last night to win the $10,000 bonus. Says it all of today's racing. Well, I guess
that's too hard.
You know, but that track wasn't in great condition last night either.
No, it wasn't near as good as it was the night before.
Right, right. It was not as good. Right.
And did you know that Chris Madden, I wondered, he was out of action there for a couple, 3 weeks. They said he had pneumonia and was down sick.
He was
for a
ripping
while.
through the field last night.
Yeah.
Where did he end up last night?
Well, he won the night before, but, he wasn't even racing there for a couple of weeks, and I don't think it was. They didn't say it was COVID. They just said he had pneumonia. Got real sick.
He started 16th last night, finished 7th.
Yeah.
So he was probably the hard charger of the night.
Now he's going to start on the outside of the front row tonight, alongside Jonathan Davenport.
That'll be good. Can't wait.
75 laps. A lot of things can happen in 75 laps,
Right.
so you never know.
A lot of money on the line tonight. Lots of money.
50,000 to win.
It's a lot of money. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. I want to thank Deidre for running the show today for us here. She's done a fine job. And I also want to thank my partner, Kirk Elliott. We'll do it all over again next Saturday. We hope that you'll join us. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time, it's Mostly Motorsports with myself and Austin O'Neill. We hope that you'll join us for that. And all of our friends out on the East Coast and the West Coast that tune in each and every week, we want to thank you guys for being great supporters as well. For Deidre Ingram, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Monday, Mostly Motorsports, 12 noon Central Time, right here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network.
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.